All right, so here we are with the new playthrough. I'm using the same audio settings as last time, so hopefully that will be fine. I guess we'll find out together, along with whether this first episode is going to do okay. It's about 6 hours of grinding. Um, I essentially cut the pieces together because it wasn't 6 hours of straight playing. A lot of 30-minute jumps or 30-minute sections where I would essentially play for a little bit and go do something else, then come back. Um, this is going to be very similar to the start of the last playthrough. So a lot of this stuff I won't have a lot of extra commentary on. Uh, and this would have essentially taken 6 episodes or 3 episodes at the minimum. And this playthrough is going to be not the Chakram Axe playthrough that I had initially said. This one is actually going to be bow and halberd. You can use other weapons aside from halberd for this. I personally think halberd's the best. The cooldowns between the skills of the bow and the halberd synchronize pretty well. So in the amount of time it takes you to do your halberd skills, your bow skills have mostly cooled down, and by the time you've done your bow skills, your halberd skills have cooled down. We are going to have a little bit of extra cooldown reduction via our faction and our gear. Um, but yeah, it's going to be also there's a build similar to this on the wiki. The main difference between, well, there's a few differences between this build and the build that's on the wiki. And I'm not sure if I should make a wiki page for this, but I am considering it. But essentially, the wiki one is all about uh, maximizing damage, and this one actually focuses more on run speed and a little bit of cooldown. I feel like the bow and the halberd do enough damage as is that it isn't necessary. I actually got a pretty good start on this, despite forgetting to bring a fishing harpoon with me. All the little stuff I got wound out with a good amount of uh, silver. Also of note is that this playthrough is going to be with a controller, and it's going to be best with a controller because of I'm going to be using pocket swap instead of the hotbar. So the one on the wiki has the weapons on the hotbar, but in favor of having more skills, we are instead going to be using the pocket swap trick. I'm also trying to do this entire thing in Shutter Encoder instead of using a video editing program. Uh, Speeding the video up is weird. Essentially, this video is running at 1800 FPS or 180 FPS instead of 60 FPS in order to achieve 3 times speed. I We'll see how that works with YouTube. Hopefully, they'll just do what they do and make it work. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to re-encode it because my thing was with the last year's when I did the post commentary, or the last playthrough when I did the post commentary, it was like 200 gigabytes for that episode. Um, and this, despite being technically 6 hours of footage, is only 100 gigabytes. So, yeah. Because if I do a non-lossless encode, then it'll be like re-encoded and compressed twice, once from the recording and once from the re-encode. And I don't know enough about video codecs to pick the best one. Uh, and that one took a long time to upload. So on this one, we're gonna get Moonswipe because it is easier to get the skills from. Oh, did I say? I forget if I said or not. But the reason that hopefully this will look okay, because even though I did 20, 30-minute sessions, I tried to cut the videos to where the loading screens were the transitions. So essentially, I would walk through a door and then I would quit the game and I would cut the recording on the continue screen of the door transition, and then I would start the next recording after I had loaded in. So hopefully they're pretty seamless. There is one where I know it is not seamless, and that's I forgot my fishing harpoon. So I get a few less blue sand, but it ended up not being a big deal. But yeah, I hopefully there's one transition where it's definitely going to look bad because I quit in the middle of Enmarkar Forest instead of as a load screen. So we get our tribal favor here, pick up some blue sand. This is basically the way that I play every beginning is I run through here, get some silver. That way I can get fitness and steady arm, as well as whatever weapon I want at the base. In this case, we're just using the iron halberd. Unlike other playthroughs, though, I won't be using unsuspecting strength. There are actually some really, really good craftable halberds in Harmattan that you'll see later. Yeah, here I go, zipping along. And then Moonswipe does extra damage. I believe it does extra impact as well. If you have your Discipline and Rage Boon up, I actually need to check that up. Swipe outward. Okay, so they only increase the damage. They both give it extra damage, but Rage naturally gives more impact, so there's that. But Moonswipe, even without the boons, is still pretty good. You get really good knockback, and it is 2 hits. Uh, so you essentially will always stagger most things with a decent weapon. And given that our main weapon is going to be having very, very high impact, um, that won't be an issue. And that's one of the reasons I spec'd away from, or I built in a different direction than the wiki build. Uh, so the origin of this one is I actually wanted to make a build with duty and obsidian bow, the one that turns blaze into the one that sets enemies on fire, which I believe is obsidian. Um, but the idea would be to set the enemy on fire with the bow, and then use duty to inflict it to holy blaze while using silver armor. That ended up not going as enjoyable as I would have liked when I first came up with it. The main reason being that the upkeep was kind of annoying. It wasn't bad. It's just the upkeep of having to keep all the buffs up at the same time, as well as make sure everything was fine. Duty itself is a great weapon, and you can use it with a fire varnish if you want to set enemies on fire and use Holy Blaze. But duty by itself is a good enough weapon that you don't really need to do that. You can just use the electricity damage, um, and then use the blaze and holy blaze, or the burning and holy blaze that are built onto it. You don't need to use the bow, but it was going to be kind of fun synergy, um, because with Moonswipe, the extra hits. So boon or discipline boon and rage boon add extra damage, but it kind of does it by doing extra hits. So things that proc abilities, um, proc them faster. So with duty, let me see what duties are. Duty's fire buildup is 40, and Holy Blaze is 18. So you'll probably need a couple hits, and then you can just Moonswipe, and then they'll instantly be Holy Blazed. So you don't really need to do it, but it was kind of a fun um, build idea, in my opinion. And it just turned out it was just a pain to keep up the constant buffs, so I ended up not doing it. Instead, I was like, okay, what's a lower maintenance version of that? And I came up with this build, a physical based one. Um, and unlike some of the other physical builds that I've done, this one does have a way to deal raw damage because I will be using Perfect Strike. Um, so enemies that are very resistant to physical aren't really an issue, and yeah, it's very versatile. You can use the halberd. You can if the bow is if you're in a situation where the bow sucks, you still have a halberd build, and if you're in a situation where halberd sucks, you still have a bow build, which is very few situations. By the way, the halberd is a good weapon in Outward. It's probably one of the strongest. Um, but yeah, no, it's just a very versatile build. Personally, I tend to switch between both builds or both weapons, not builds. So essentially, I'll use the skills for the halberd, or before I approach an enemy, I'll shoot them with the bow. Then I'll run up with the halberd, use the skills with the halberd, maybe do a couple hits on them while they're down, because in all likelihood they're going to get knocked down. And then I'll back off and switch back with the bow. This one is going to focus a lot on movement speed instead of physical damage as a result. So we're going to be using Master Trader Boots and the Jewel Bird Mask. Well, as soon as I get a pair of Master Trader Boots, you'll see how frustrating that is later. I had great luck with the Pearlbird Mask, but absolutely terrible luck with the boots. So, in case you're unaware, one of the most simplest ways to farm the Pearlbird Mask is to put a bedroll. If you have a luxury tent, it's better because the rate at which you will get enemies is higher. It's 65% versus 40. So as you can see in that one, I didn't spawn anybody. I'm using this time to kind of repair my weapon as well as get a little bit of stamina back. So the idea is like this: you get interrupted in your sleep, and hopefully the thing that interrupts you is a pearl bird. I got very lucky. That's the only thing that interrupted me this entire time was pearl birds. There is a chance of uh, both an immaculate and bandit spawning. Um, and for some, in my brain, I thought it was 60% was supposed to be the answer, and I thought being that close to Cierzo was the reason it was 40. And then I realized, oh no, it's because of the tent versus the sleeping bedroll. And so I end up picking everything back up after a couple times. So I'm like, yeah, no, it's still 40%. So yeah, if you want to grind out a Pearlbird Mask, just do this. Just take a rest, fight a Pearlbird, take a rest, fight a Pearlbird until you get a mask. The Halberd's great for this too, just as a weapon. Both the Halberd and the Claymore have very good reach. The spear is a little bit less good because it is a poke, and so if the Pearl Bird decides to zig when you zag, then you'll miss. Yeah, so far what's that, like 4 or 5 pokes? Because this is a 1% drop rate, I think. Um, and you may think to yourself, well, why are you getting a Pearl Bird mask when you're going to be using a Jewel Bird mask from a legacy chest? And the answer to that is our bow. There's a really good bow. You can use Sarbo, because I am going to be going Sorborian for this. So you can use Sarbo if you want to. But I think Murmur is better. Mostly because of the stamina bonus. So as you can see there, it only took me like, I don't know, 10 Pearl Birds. And it'll help us speed up during our grinding. But yeah, it's eventually going to go into making our bow. Another fun thing about this build is it gives, so as you get better in the game or further and better equipment, um, enemy iron weapons are completely pointless. They're not worth their weight to carry back to town. However, with a bow build, all of a sudden they become a source of arrows because you can scrap them all for iron scraps to make arrows. Um, so this begins our clock tower puzzle grind, and I probably should have looked more for the Master Trader boots, but I got tired of waiting, man. But yeah, so this is basically we're gonna go clear out the area, um, make all the golem rapiers, beast golem halberds and spears, galvanic spears that we can, and sell those. You'll make a lot of money very fast this way. I learned about this from Skuma's video uh, back when I was a beginner. I was like, oh man, I really need to get some silver. What's the best way to make silver? And I found Skuma's video, and so far that hasn't changed. It seems way faster than horror weapon farming for me. Um, it's also less time consuming, like in game. No, I guess it's not less time consuming in game. I don't know. It feels faster. I feel like you can do at least a few thousand silver every 10 or so minutes, which is pretty fast. As you'll see, there are times where I come back with like 3 rapiers and a halberd and a spear, and then enough to make another spear or halberd while I'm doing my resting, which, each. So if you get lucky with your spawns and everything spawns how it should, there'll be 2 sets of 2 golems. That's a rapier, and these are the perimeter ones. There'll be at least 1 set of dual beast golems and a solo. I think there's 2 sets of beast golems, but I may be wrong on that. But I think there's 2. And then there's also, I believe, 2 solo beast golems. So there's 2 sets of 2 and 2 solo for a total of 3 golem rapiers. And then there's also the one that's the 2 that's on your path, which is the 4th golem rapier. And then there's the galvanic golem, which gives you the golem scrap to make the spear, which is at that point that's 1,500 silver at least, plus whatever you pick up along the way. And if you get lucky with shops and beast golems for palladium spikes and beast golem scraps, then you're gonna get halberds that you can make as well, that sell for 300 or 330 silver, and you just end up making a ton of silver. So I start off first by just setting out to be able to kill some beast golems so I can make a better halberd to kill things with. I do cut it a little bit close sometimes. So this is dangerous. If you're not confident in your ability to take down beast golems, which I am not, to be fair, I figured this was going to be my deer from my last playthrough, where it was going to be my one death. But if you're not confident with your ability to take down beast golems, what you can do is do a couple runs and buy a better halberd, and then use that better halberd to take down the beast golems. However, if you're going to do that route, I would skip the beast golem halberd and go straight to the galvanic halberd, which I do beast golem and then galvanic because, well, man, that is moving really fast. So yeah, when they jump past you, sometimes they'll make you miss your swings. They have a very evasive moveset. Now you can. I tried to lame this one out. It's way easier with the 2-handed sword. The B attack has a vertical swing. But yeah, no, I did a terrible job at exploiting that, and I almost died here. I think. Let's see. Yep, I got hit again. Got a cold. I was like, am I gonna be able to do this? I was like, I'm gonna have my first death, and it's gonna be my 1 in 20 chance or my 1 in 5 chance to be a permadeath, and then I'm not even gonna be able to upload this video, and I'm gonna be sad because at this point I am an hour in because I'm at 20 minutes on my video timer, which would mean that I am at 1 hour in real time. So at this time I've played, I've stopped like 3 times. I think there's like 3 cuts in here so far. So hopefully they haven't been super noticeable. So we have both the plant tent and the luxury tent. The plant tent is because it keeps your needs up. Luxury tent is because stamina reduction, I guess. I mean, that's the only reason to use it. But as you can see, the Beast Golem Halberd, it's a little bit short, and that does prove to be an issue. There's another cut I could tell that time. But yeah, it does prove to be a small issue, but eventually we get our galvanic halberd that I think I currently still have, and we'll be starting episode 2 with. So as you can see, it does a decent amount of damage. This is good for non-golem enemies. It has decent damage. It does bleeding build up, but naturally golems can't bleed, so the main thing that it is for this is a halberd that does, I think, like 34 base damage. So here's another trick you can use with a halberd or any weapon that's long. Now, do keep in mind that they can also hit through the pillar. So while you can hit them if you have a longer weapon, where they can't hit you, they absolutely can hit you if you get too close to the little railing there. So I kept trying to check because I can't remember. I think it's ether in the sense that I need for flux, because I'm going to be using flux on the boots just for the extra speed, not because it's necessary. I don't think I ran into a single ether particle color thing, and I kept thinking to myself like I couldn't tell whether I was green or yellow. I'm colorblind, so I couldn't really tell if that was green or yellow. And I had considered it if it was the yellow to get the light particle and do unsuspecting strength, and then I remembered the galvanic halberd, and I was like, no, I'll take this. I'll take this. Oh, and I do have the mods I have on for this playthrough are Combat HUD, Transmog, and I think that's it. I just pull up my mod manager thing here. I'm not able to see the video at this moment, but I have Combat HUD, Transmorphic, side loader, because side loader is required for the other mods. Okay, so yeah, that's all I have. I'm not, and one thing, Combat HUD I don't really find to be that, like, there are mods that stop your equipment from decaying or give you an infinite backpack. I feel like those things are integral to the outward experience. Timers, less so, because as you can see from my last playthrough, all it means is while I'm walking, I'm just constantly checking in the menu. Whereas in this playthrough, I'm just going to look down. So it doesn't change that much and is mildly more convenient. So I'm going to use it in this one. That said, it will not stop me from forgetting to buff. I can guarantee you that. Because as I've mentioned before, the UI on my screen is in the corners. It's kind of small compared to the rest of the screen. So most of the time, if I'm looking at an enemy, I can't see the UI, and so I have to look away to do that. And it's just fighting some golems. Once you get their move set, run to the left on that one. If you have to go to the right because you're trapped, just roll through it. Um, the regular attacks you can run clockwise around with a little bit of distance most of the time. Honestly, they're either a damage or a stamina check depending on how you look at it. Um, so, as I've said before, in my opinion, most enemies in this game are a test to see if you can beat them with the amount within the amount of stamina you have. It's a stamina management is the main thing. I mean, there's weapon durability as well, but unless you're fighting big bosses, weapon durability is not normally a concern. And I believe I got a shield golem scrap from this one, so I think from here on I should be able to use the next. Oh, there's another cut. I took way too long on that one. So yeah, that's from one run, um, and I didn't really get to kill or do everything that I wanted. Like I made that galvanic halberd, which I would normally sell, and because I made the galvanic halberd, I couldn't make a galvanic spear, which I would normally sell. And so I have an extra spear that I just oopsies on, I guess. And I was like, oh, maybe there's a beast golem that. So yeah, I made about almost. I would have made about 2,000 silver in that one run, um, and we are an hour and 20 minutes into the game. So being able to earn that much silver that fast is very good. Uh, as you can see, I will frequently check the armor shop to try and find me some master trader boots, and I just don't find any. And I even run into the Soraborian caravaner a few times. Not in Harmattan, but in general. Never has the boots. So if you have debug mode on, I do, but I only use it to fix bugs. If you have debug mode on and you don't want to do 3 loading screens, you can skip time in the debug room or debug mode. I don't know if that introduces any bugs, but if you just want to cut, like if you have long loading screens, like you're on a slower device, then yeah, you can use debug mode. You can essentially use it to skip time and then sleep 1 day or 1 hour instead of sleeping 24 hours 7 times. Oh, I believe my knuckles didn't show up on the microphone. So yeah, I use the alchemist backpack to kind of store my stuff. Honestly, that little alchemist backpack trick when you're doing grinding like this or just putting it on before you switch regions is really good. Um, I'll probably end up getting a second one just for one, leaving one at home essentially and my player base, and then the other one uh, taking with me when I have to travel. And Harmat has some of the best food, so stock up on it here while you can. So pumpkin pie does not make me want to eat pumpkin pie, but the in-game cheesecake definitely makes me want to eat cheesecake. Here we go, another round. I don't always take the most efficient path. Because that stuff is nice for while I have it. It does allow you to save a little bit of stamina. And one thing I do that I really didn't really need to very often is use Moonswipe. Actually, I need to look on that. Does Moonswipe cost durability to activate, or is it just 2 hits? If it's just 2 hits. No, it still costs more, I think. It consumes 15 stamina. Durability cost of 1. So it only costs 1, but I would assume the extra hits from the boon also cost extra stamina. So if you can stagger an enemy in 1 to 2 hits, it's probably better to just not use Moonswipe for durability reasons, especially with how many enemies we're fighting in a row. So I always kill the sword golem first, just because if it runs up and tries to fight me while I'm fighting the shield golem or the galvanic golem or whatever they're called, then that can spell some trouble. This guy you can just kind of bully. I find that out. I've put 2 and 2 together here in a little bit, but uh, yeah, you don't actually have to let him have time to do any spells. And again, this inflicts pain, which is good. See, I still don't know if that was yellow or green. But yeah, it inflicts pain, so it's pretty good. And it has a little bit more distance than the Beast Golem one. And you can tell at one point of one of these runs was pretty late at night because I get hit a lot. It's pretty funny, but luckily I did not die. I had the good sense to kind of run and regroup when that happened. You can use the little rails as spaces. Now this only really works well for the beast golems. The sword golems, their AI and pathing is smart, and it does not attempt in any way to run into uh the railing. So that was just to get my heat up, because it's starting to get cold, and my character does not have stuff to deal with cold at this moment. I do a couple runs in the winter, but my strategy for that is to use food and stuff. So it does slightly decrease the efficiency of the run, but not enough to make a difference. The cost of the ingredients is very low. I was debating getting ingredients for warrior and golem elixirs, um, and I for the life of me cannot remember. Oh, and discipline potions, but I for the life of me could not remember the recipe for it. So I was like, they'll probably rot. So I decided against it. More sleeping. See, during these threes, I should have been checking the armor guy every 3 days, but I only started doing that after a little bit, unfortunately. And who knows, maybe the 2 times that I didn't check them were the times that they had the Master Trader boots. Master Trader boots. There was the armor, but no boots. See, I'm already running out of things to say. Imagine if I was having to talk for the full 6 hours of this video. Starting the next episode, everything will be normal speed. I'm going to be doing important things in the next episode. I don't really consider any of the stuff we did here to be particularly important. I didn't fight any bosses. I did get a couple legacy chests, but the strategy for the legacy chests is the same as it was last time. In this case, by the way, we only have 2 important legacy chests. The other legacy chests are not that important. I have Shadow Kazite chess piece. What was the other one? Oh, Jewel Bird Mask, obviously. That one has to be legacied. Those are the 2 important ones. I also have the Pearl Bird Egg, which I left in the same place as last time, and the Lightmender's Lexicon, which I also left in the same place as last time. So I have a character that I just call Legacy, and their build is basically marathoner, stamina reduction, equipment, speed and stamina reduction. And all they do is just I split screen over items from other characters, and just they run in between the legacy chests and drop stuff off, and then my character's legacy from them. So with their incredible speed and whatnot, it's nice. Full movement speed, stamina reduction, and speedster with Jewel Bird, Master Trader stuff. I guess there's not a lot of stamina reduction stuff. Now that I think about it, there's yeah, it's mostly just speed. The stamina reduction mostly comes from marathoning. Now that I think about it, and sleeping in a tent. But on this, I'm not sure if I'm going to end up using transmog. Probably not. Maybe if I get a Squire headband, just through lucky drops. I'm not going to hunt one down. I'm not going to, hunt down different unique enemies and hope to get it. It's just if I happen to get it, I might. But I kind of like the idea of wearing a bird mask, even if the jewel bird one is a little bit what is the word, extra for my taste. Very colorful, very flamboyant. But I think it kind of fits because the rest of the outfit's blue, so having the colorful face isn't that bad. Same loop as before. How far are we through this video? 40 minutes. 39 and a half minutes. What else to talk about? I guess in between games, I played some classic Armored Core. Started from the first one. Probably still going to play that in between, like on my lunch breaks at work. I also tried a tea sampler from a tea farm. That was somewhat disappointing. I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's the fifth one. Okay, I still have 5 samples of tea left. But I don't know, man. Like 3 of them were okay. None of them were good. I feel kind of sad. I might try, instead of following their instructions, brewing it how I would brew it, um, and seeing if that changes my opinion. But on this one, I got lucky. All 3 of them, both one of the duos and the solo, were next to each other. Although honestly, if out of the remaining 5, if even one of them's good, it'll be worth it, I think. I have no idea what I was doing here. Apparently, I just decided to pause. Okay, well, go me, I guess. Aside from the last episode of the last playthrough, this is the first time I've ever like watched myself play like this. Oh yeah, see this I completely forgot to buff. And I was like, oh no. Luckily they're not too bad or too good at overcoming terrain. The sword golems will realize when you're trying to lead them over terrain and change their course. These guys just kinda do not. Which honestly the touches like that to the AI are really good. Like not every AI enemy in this game acts the same. They have different behaviors and different patterns, which I think really adds to the game. They also each have different move sets, and each move set feels unique. And with this enemy variety, that's impressive. I mean, I'm only fighting 3 different types of enemies during this. Oh yeah, this fight was rough. I'm only fighting 3 different enemies of types in this farming, but throughout the game, all of the enemies feel unique. Yeah, as you can see, I tried to see. They're like, oh no, no, I know what you're doing. So ideally, one of them would follow me off the cliff, and the other one would go around, but that wasn't happening. I think I ran out of my buffs again, so that was unfortunate. I was like, okay, I need to kill these guys. Yeah, there we go. So I decided I'm just going to try to focus on the one that was the most damaged. And that worked, because once it's one-on-one, it's easy. But 2 of them at the same time, with how fast that spin attack comes out, it's super rough. You with outward the combat, the word for combat, the word for the combat that I would use is deliberate. Like you have to be deliberate with what you do. So when you're doing uh Dark Souls, for instance, and you're just tapping attack, 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 the game kind of stores your input, and you don't have to um, really focus too much on like timing your attacks. And outward input's not really stored in the same way. So like you'll see sometimes when I'm attacking, like my character will just stop attacking, and that's because I mistimed my input. And so with outward, you can't just spam, 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 spam. I mean, you can, and you won't miss an input. But if you do, once you start that swing, your character is committed. Like, there's no canceling out of the animation really with rolls. I mean, there's a little bit of end of animation canceling in some situations. Like, it's quicker to roll after an attack than it is to raise your shield or block. in most cases. So I would assume that the roll has some degree of animation canceling, but not in the level of Dark Souls. You can't like start to cast a spell and then roll mid cast and cancel it. Like once you do something, you're basically committed until the animation is done. And as a result, you have to be very deliberate with when you choose to attack. And I think that's one thing that people think is clunky about the game is the required deliberacy. Um, but I personally find it to be uh, very good. Like I hope that they keep the deliberateness, the required amount of deliberacy. I'm not quite sure the proper word for that, but the requiring you to be deliberate. I hope they keep that, even if they do speed up the combat. Uh, just because I think that is part of what makes Outward feel like Outward. Another thing that makes Outward feel like Outward is the way the stamina works. Like instead of having stamina that fills back up super fast, like you have 7 swings and then you roll a couple times and then your stamina is back done up to full in just a couple seconds. Instead, your stamina is like stamina, where it's a maximum resource and it takes a little bit to build up. I think that also makes it very not Souls like. Because yeah, there's a dodge, yeah, there's a strong attack, there's a weak attack, and yeah, there's iframes, and there's even fat rolling. But the rest of the combat just feels very different, even for just those facts of having, um, the different the commitment in your attack animations, as well as the way they manage stamina. And then of course there's the impact, which is very different from posture or poise in Dark Souls, especially given how much like there's no riposte, there's no uh, anything like that. You don't get, as far as I'm aware, you don't get bonus damage if an enemy's knocked down. But yeah, it's all like on a surface level, it may appear to be Souls like, but it doesn't feel like it. And it's due to those differences that may not seem large at first, but they definitely play a huge role in the way the game plays. Oh, my strategy for the cold is tea, warm milk, and Survivor Elixir. Um, so one thing that I think the wiki might have wrong is the way weather works. Let me pull up the weather wiki. Word wiki weather temperature. Here we go. Okay, so the wiki says that temperature source is equilibrium temperature is 50 plus temperature sources, weather defense minus weather defense. Effectively, weather defense will attempt to counter any changes in temperature. Equilibrium temperature is too high or too low. Eventually pass. Oh, okay, no, it's correct. It's correct. I read this wrong the first time I read it. So basically, the way temperature works is like let's say it's very cold, and that has some negative value from your equilibrium, and then you have some degree of weather defense. Your rate at which you get cold, I'm pretty sure, goes down slower if you have weather defense. And then you'll eventually reach a point where your weather defense plus the temperature that it is. See, I did way better on this one than I did the last time I fought 2 of them at once. But whatever it is will kind of equalize out. And if that temperature is lower than the middle, but is still higher than the temperature that you're considering quote unquote cold, your character will lower their temperature but never get cold. Same thing with heat. And so you don't necessarily need perfect weather defense to be able to, beat everything or to be able to stay dead in the center. You just need enough to make sure that your equilibrium temperature is higher or lower than the too hot or too cold. And then, of course, if you get too hot or too cold, then your character can die. So that's generally considered bad. Also, blocking works with any weapon, which is good. Oh, speaking of blocking and mechanics, that beginner's guide is hard. Like, people who make beginner's guide videos, I can understand why. Uh, but it's a lot of work. Every time I look at my outline for it, I'm like, oh, what if I did this? So my idea was not to do a beginner's video where I like tell you what to do in the beginning, but more of a intro to the mechanics of Outward for beginners so that they can learn how to be good at the game on their own. Because not most, all except for one of my builds, and even the one build that is not in a quote unquote original build, have all been builds that I've made. The one that is not quote unquote original, um, I still don't do it exactly like the build that I got the idea from. Um, but yeah, no, all of my builds except for the SAR. I did do a SAR Claymore Speedster build. I'm sure everybody's tried that one once. Um, but yeah, that one's not exactly how the guy that did all the YouTube videos on that build did it, but I did pretty close. And so that one I don't really consider an original build, but the rest of my builds normally come from me sitting down as like, okay, what can I do with this? And then I come up with something. Like I said, this one originally was an idea of like, oh, let's mix obsidian bow and um, duty to make a bow halberd build that kind of synergizes well together. And then it ended up not working out very well. Not that it wasn't good. Again, it just I didn't enjoy the maintenance. Um, and then I'm like, okay, well, how can I make this but better? Because the gameplay itself was fun. Like if I had the buffs up, the combat was fun. So I was like, okay, well, let's do this with physical stuff instead. And the original build was going to be for not Heroic Kingdom, Holy Mission. This one is going to be for. So the reason it was for Holy Mission was because you can't do Levant and get both the arrows upgraded in Caldera and also get the special buff, which is unfortunate. So instead, the build was going to be for Holy Mission, just because, I mean, if you're doing Lightning, Holy Mission makes sense. The physical one, I ended up going with Sorobor, because you get the extra pocket space, which is going to be good because I'm going to be carrying a heavy bow in my pocket. Um, and I'm also going to be carrying a fat roll back to town. I think I get smart and decide to put some stuff in my pocket. Yeah, there we go. But the logistics expert is going to help the skills synergize just a little bit better. Because, like I said, they cool off about the same time with logistics expert, and then the extra cooldown from the Shadow Kazite. Uh, they didn't need the Scholar Circlet for the extra cooldown. They didn't need uh, the boots, Shadow Kazite boots. That said, if you want to do this with a different faction, you could easily forego the Jewel Bird helmet for the Scholar Circlet and get basically the same thing. I think this logistics expert give you a little bit of movement speed too. I think it gives you movement speed. Let's check that out. Logistics expert. Oh. Yeah, 5% movement speed. But our main thing is going to be the cooldown reduction. We'll already have a lot of movement speed through our Jewel Bird Mask and Flux enchanted Master Trader Boots if I ever get them. We'll see, I guess. I mean, the chances of me not getting them are pretty low, just because I'm going to be in Harmattan for the most of my faction quest. And so I'll be checking the shop every 3 days. And hopefully that means I will get it. There's not a lot to say here, just mostly grinding. Grinding, grinding, grinding. Sleep 3 days, check the shop. Turns out the shop didn't have the boots. Sleep more days. Also, these episodes in the future might be a little bit shorter. It is difficult to dedicate an hour and a half to 2 hours to sitting down and talking and playing a video game. It's a lot easier um, to play the game for 2 hours than it is to record playing the game for 2 hours because I can get up, go to the bathroom, make a cup of tea, listen to music, watch a stream on Twitch or YouTube or something while I'm playing. Uh, and one thing I've been doing is every time I get out of my chair, I've been doing some form of exercise, so like push-ups or pull-ups or something. I can't really do that while streaming. I don't want to have that kind of noise going on in the background, and also it'll just take extra time. Not streaming, recording. So I might end up making these a little bit shorter. I might not. I'm not 100% sure. We'll just see how this goes. I think a lot of it will depend on what I get done in the episode. Because I also don't want to have episodes that are nothing but just walking. I think this is around the time where I get smart and I realize I don't have to use Moon Swipe in order to increase my durability. Because one thing that made those two golems a pain in the butt to fight was that uh, my weapon at that point was like 2/3 of the way destroyed, and so that's kind of what I'm doing here. Is I'm running over. I'm like, okay, can I see them? Are they here? Uh, can I fight them? Get it over with. And they turned out to be over here. At least one of the sets of two. On the two sets, I will absolutely use Moon Swipe, um, because they are otherwise a pain in the butt. And the fact that I can hit both of them and stagger them both with one Moon Swipe if I can time it, which I did not successfully do at all. That's very useful. Same trick. Hit him through there if I can. Does blocking impact your durability? That's one thing I do not know. I should test that. It sounds like, I mean, it seems like it should. Blocking. Doesn't say, but it makes sense that you would lose weapon durability. At least doesn't say on the wiki. Pretty sure that one's ice. If that ended up being ether, then whoops. But also, I think I only kept 2 of the tourmaline. I should have kept all of them because I forget about the unknown arena guy. But honestly, that shouldn't be an issue, especially since our main quest is going to be here, which also is going to mean this playthrough is going to be shorter because Rust and Vengeance is the parallel quest for Sorobor. I mean, you still can do uh, pacifier, purifier. You can still do purifier and blood out of the sun, but the parallel quest that that triggers with this one is going to be Rust and Vengeance. And honestly, the other ones, I think it actually does the same thing. If you go to Harmattan during the quest, after the third faction quest, it also will trigger Rust and Vengeance. But given that you live in Harmattan, there's no avoiding triggering it. It's kind of impressive when you think about it with your main character. It's like, yeah, I was taking 2 threats down at the same time. I mean, you could just wait the 3 days or so it takes to do the rest of the main quest, or you could do the entirety of Rest and Vengeance in those 3 days. You know, time efficient. What's our time at? An hour and 3 minutes. Still have another hour and 3 minutes left. I may have to split my vocals up into two sessions. I was actually concerned that this might be too short, that I might have done only 2 times speed instead of 3 times speed and did it as 2 separate episodes. But I kind of felt that was pushing it. I just don't have enough to say about starting the grind. It's just a grind. It's not particularly interesting to watch, and I don't blame you people who skip this part of it. Do keep in mind that there is other things in this episode that is not this grind. Yeah, but this part's definitely boring. Good thing I am currently listening to music. I have to suppress the urge to sing along because my singing voice is bad. It's about as monotone as my speaking voice. I'd consider doing a virgin halberd with Spectre's whale, the explodey one. Um, that would have just been a lot more work. Also, I think that one's also ether particle, and again, I don't think I ran into an ether particle. What are the Sorobor rewards for Purifier? Purifier. I think you can get reduced because I think the one that I always get is the increased buying and selling price, or decreased buying prices, increased selling prices. It's preferential treatment. Because preferential treatment is 15% cheaper to buy, 15 and sell for 15% more. Whereas the Harmattan area, let's see. What is the price increase of the market? Okay, Harmattan market. Let's see. Does it say on the wiki? Price. It says affected by price modifier, but it doesn't say what the price modifier is. At 1.3. So they're still 15% more expensive, but you also make 15% more silver per transaction. So I think preferential treatment, because it happens everywhere. Preferential treatment, I believe, is everywhere. It's definitely better. And that was me being frustrated at that guy for never having Master Trader boots. And we're just going to pack up and head to Berg. I was so tempted to buy those crimp nuts. Because, like previously, I am going to be focusing on making income funds in New Sirocco instead of food. Because when you really look at the food that's available in New Sirocco, it's just not that great. New Sirocco. Okay, New Sirocco food store. So you get stuff. You get able tea, ambrain, beer, spicy tea, bread, gaberries. You also get some random stock of possible Cryocosa beetles, funnel beetles. Well, I don't know. They have the option for marshmallow. I guess that's good. They do have the option. You can get marshmallow and jelly as a chance. 5% chance. But on 4.5 average rolls, you probably have like a better chance of getting it. Yeah, I mean 25% chance of marshmallow jelly. Does the food store provide food? Or provide funds as well, or just food? The food store might actually be fine then. 40 food and 100 funds and counts it. Actually, the food store's not that bad. I may stand corrected on the food store. I did not realize that it also provides funds. I thought it was only if you did the in expansion, but it provides 100 funds normally. It's pretty good. So the in expansion only generates an extra 50 funds. But when you compare that to blacksmith, also only does that, I might consider doing the food store this time, just for the marshmallow and tartines. Nah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Because I won't be doing the specialized expansion for um, Sorobor Academy. Like infused mana is pointless. So here we are off to Caldera. Luckily, it's nighttime, so I don't get too hot from this. Now, I don't know how well this is going to show up on YouTube, but when I played this, I could not see. When it was night out and I was over in the dark areas, I just straight up could not see. Um, yeah, I was like, oh, maybe he'll win. No, they lost immediately. Or Tor Crab. I was thinking I could steal some stuff to sell, but nope, Tor Crab died fast. So yeah, like right now it's basically pitch black for me. I am not 100% sure where I'm at. I'm trying to figure that out with what little I can see. I'm trying to estimate roughly how far I am from the Vigil Pylon. I'm like, I don't know, I feel like I'm pretty close to where I need to be. So for the record, what I'm doing here is getting the Brigand backpack. But once I see that I'm at the Vault of Stone, I'm like, okay, I know where I'm at. It's just a matter of following the ridge up, because yeah. But prior to that, I had no idea where I was. So you may think to yourself, well, you're using the Brigand backpack, which doesn't allow for a lantern, and your difficulty was that you could not see because it was too dark. How is that going to help? Especially because you don't have any magic. And the answer to that question is you are absolutely correct, and it will not help at all. It'll make things worse. But it's a good backpack. So then I can finally see once I get out there. There's some contrast there, so I can see And I'm like, okay, I think I know where to go now. And now I'm supposed to be heading over to the hermit shack. And I realized when I was in Berg, I forgot to uh, activate the wind pillar. And I was supposed to remember when I went back to Berg, but I did not. So I have to try to remember that next time I go to Berg. I don't know if you saw that. That was a big nope moment. I was walking and there was another this crossbow bolt guy. So a I have to check both the tree and the dead body. I believe the tree stump is where I found my first lightweight kit ever. I think it was a lightweight cooking kit. And I remember I had been playing for 900 to 1,000 hours. And I legitimately thought that they were not real, that they were debug only. And then I found one in there and I was like, oh my god, they exist. Like, I don't know if you ever remember that Eminem commercial from a long time ago, where they run into Santa, and they both pass out because they didn't realize the other person was real. That was me with the lightweight cooking set. I also almost passed out because I didn't think it was real. Hypothetically, of course, but not hypothetically. What's the word that's not literal? My brain is blanking. Opposite of literal. Theoretical? Nah, that's not the word I'm looking for. Word meaning not literal. Metaphorically. That's the word I was looking for. Metaphorically speaking. I almost passed out. As you can tell, it is currently late, and I am tired. And I did not think through sitting through a 2-hour video very well. So this is the switch to activate the bow, or to activate the force field around the bow. Then you have to go back through and run and actually go grab the bow itself. I thought I'd be cheeky and just run up here and try to get that, and that did not play out well. I ended up getting hit, didn't get the chest at all. I don't know if any of you guys have watched the show Mirai Nikki, but there's a character there that they pronounce their name Muda, and every time I see Murmur the bow, that's what I think of. So, just a fun little fact to help fill the space. This is also if you ever want to do the Caligari Arena. You can get stuff, I guess. I think there's a chest that spawns almost every time a smoke weapon, which sells for an okay amount. Uh, I don't know. I might do that just to show you guys what it's like this playthrough if I remember to do so. I normally don't anymore. I don't find the challenges to be particularly difficult, and I don't find the rewards to be good efficient use of time. But if you're farming for a specific smoke weapon, I mean that's an option. Also, you can't see it very well until I start doing it, but at some point, I start trying to adjust my graphic settings. So apparently in this game, if you have VSync turned on, it does not listen to your frame rate cap. So if you have a monitor that's 120 hertz and you have frame rate cap at 60 and you turn on VSync, it won't VSync to 60. It'll VSync to 120 and ignore your 60 frame rate cap. I switched VSync off partway through this, and you'll see me do it. And I need to remember to look out for what you call it, screen tearing, because I won't see screen tearing because I have variable refresh rate, but I want to make sure the video does not have screen tearing when I switch it. Skip this. Oh. Yeah, skip that one too. So I can't skip my music with my keyboard because it will skip this video as well because I'm watching it currently on a video player and narrating what I see. And I'm going to use Shutter to insert the audio and hope that's enough, and hope YouTube accepts an 1800 FPS or an 180 FPS video and converts it down to 60. And not just, I mean, honestly, if it keeps it 180 FPS, as long as it plays at the appropriate speed, then I don't really care if YouTube converts it or not. But hopefully it doesn't see the 180 FPS and then slow it down to 60 and make it normal speed. That would be unfortunate, because then my voice would be going very, very slow. But we will see. I'm going to try just splicing in the audio, and that way nothing gets re-encoded, so the quality doesn't change between episodes. So I can't actually, in my brain, I can't use Murmur until I get my other mask. But in game, it actually has like a 30 attack. So I absolutely could have used it. I did not for some reason. Well, I mean, there's some reason being that my brain didn't see it as a viable option, but so on this one, I was just running into the legacy chest. This one's the book, the Lightmender's Lexicon. It's not vital in any sense of the word. I can use any lexicon because I'm only really going to be using it for Runic Lantern and nothing else. I mean, I might use Runic Protection in some fights, especially the one with Elite Crimson Avatar, assuming my character lives that long. But honestly, on this one, it might end up being Deathless or one death in the run-ins, because that's been my luck. I got really lucky with the Pearlbird mask, incredibly unlucky with the Master Trader boots, so I'm probably going to get either lucky and don't die, or incredibly unlucky and die and get a permadeath in one death. So on this one, I kept getting unlucky and getting fire rags. I think until just there, I may have gotten an ice rag. Oh no, there it was. Last chance to get one. Oh no, I got one in both spots. Okay, yeah. So on this one, I also did not play very well. I was concerned mostly about the Obsidian Elemental and I should have paid more attention to the Burning Man, because the Burning Man's the one who ended up setting me on fire, not the Obsidian Elemental. Honestly, I should have killed the Burning Man first. They are an annoyance, but the Obsidian Elemental by himself is not that bad. And honestly, the Burning Man by himself is not that bad, but the Burning Man is much quicker to kill. So that should have been my plan, but it was not. Luckily, I didn't die. I came close, but I did not die. I think this was at like 2 a.m., so I wasn't exactly thinking the most effectively. I'm thinking to myself, I was like, okay, in order to use this bow, I need to go get the Jewel Bird mask. I don't want to go get I don't want to take the mask off before I get a chance to get it. And so I'm looking at that. I'm like, okay, well, the exit to the exit to Levant, Avasar Desert is right there. And I was like, okay, it's right there. It's 2 a.m. Am I gonna go? I was like, do I have the supplies? And so I quit, and then I rejoined afterwards because I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this at 2 a.m. So this one's earlier today, at the time that I'm recording my vocals, I think. Yeah, because I think I played an hour today, so that would be, or an hour and a half. So that would be about right. Yeah, I was surprised that my heat didn't go up there. I think it's because I had some degree of protection, and so my equilibrium was only slightly above normal. But once you sleep, it gets rid of everything. So I had to redo it. If I would have simply slept and repaired the appropriate amount from the start, I would have never gotten hot, I think. But it's not a big deal because I'm going to be able to lose most of my heat on my way to the slide. And here I'm messing with my stuff. I'm like, this doesn't feel like it's only 60 FPS. I get excited because I see the caravaner, and then I'm like, ah, you bastard, or whatever the PG equivalent of that word is. Um, but yeah, I was sad that he did not have the Master Trader boots. Now I had hope because there is another corpse in the slide that has a chance to spawn the Master Trader boots on them. Um, we'll see how lucky I get. So these guys, believe it or not, if you get really, really close, they just straight up miss you. So they missed, 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 missed. If you're too far away, if you're like in a sweet spot, they'll actually circle around and hit you behind your guard. If you're far, they'll just hit your guard. And if you're too close, they'll actually just straight up miss you. So I was going to go and sell all this stuff I just picked up from the sharks. And I was like, I don't want to run all the way back there. So I decided to instead just go ahead and head to the slide. Skip that. That's going to be a little bit loud to listen to while playing. There we go. This is a much more calm and relaxing song. Ooh, I should probably put outward music over this too, huh? Wonder which one I should go with. Can I even do that? Can I put two audio tracks in Shutter at once? Then I'd have to balance them. Guess we'll find out what I end up deciding to do. I'll see what if Shutter Encoder allows me to like put the volume at 50% or something, or 30%. I might put some outward music on top of this, because now thinking about it, you just have to listen to me talk for 2 hours with no outward music. Oof. My videos are already not that great quality. least in the other video, I was able to record the game audio. I mean, I technically could have recorded the game audio in this one too. The same technique of splitting the output devices, but I don't know if outward music would sound good at 3 times speed. So here I'm preparing to use the bow. It's around the time that I realize I can in fact use the bow without sacrificing the mask. And honestly, I probably should have just went ahead and, put them together. So I didn't think this through. My plan was to use the weapon as the light, and then I immediately messed that up by realizing that by switching weapons, I'm going to lose my light source. But luckily, I was able to switch back really quick and then lead him upstairs, lead the shell horror upstairs. So I got my pretty bird mask, and I still can't see. I really hope this comes up on YouTube and it's as pitch black for you guys it is for me, because man, it is rough. Like, if I turned my brightness up, I probably could have been able to find my way out of there. I don't know. I kind of like how dark it is, though. I don't want to. I don't want to cheese it that bad. So now I'm just running back to Levant, and well, not back to, no, just to, running to Levant. Uh, do some selling, some wheeling and dealing. Make Gavlan proud. Now, if you find the caravaner out in the wild, and you haven't changed locations, or it has been 3 days for their inventory to refresh, they'll be in a different location, but their inventory will be the same, unfortunately. So there was no chance of me getting the boots there. I am out of water. I'm gonna mute and go grab some water. So I was debating saving Levant for when I came here for story mode purposes, because the skills in Levant are completely unnecessary for my build. There are some skills that are unnecessary to use, but I do use them for organizational purposes, and you'll see what I mean once I get the skills for organizational purposes. But yeah, there are no active skills here that I needed. Alright, so I was focused on trying to think of an easy way to get a horror weapon that I did not remember to pick up rations. So that'll come back to bite me here soon. I'd strongly consider getting the uh, broken alchemist's flask, but that thing is expensive. I'll get it after Blood Under the Sun. Also, it's wild to me that such a fancy meal is thrown out when you have slums of a bunch of starving people. I say that as an American where most restaurants throw out all their food instead of giving it to starving people. So, I don't know, it blows my mind in game and in real life. So here I'm going to get the say hello to the Immaculate. Oh, I decided in this one I'm going to show you guys where all the Immaculate camps are, I guess. I won't be using the Dreamer Halberd, but what better build to show you where they're on at than a Halberd build? So as you can see, the plan is attack with one and then swap to the other. And you keep it in your pocket. So I did find out that arrows, for whatever reason, at least the regular ones, were going in front of the galvanic halberd. Don't recall that being the case for the um, SAR one, but I may have also just never kept my arrows in my pockets. So I don't know on that one. I was gonna make it into a horror weapon, then I had one too few predator bones. Nothing more classic than getting all the way and realizing you don't have enough travel rations. True outward moment. So I figured, okay, let's go kill some bandits. Bandits sometimes have salt or travel rations on them. I had salt and a food. Now I had no pickaxe, but watching this video, I could have gone and get the other pickaxe and then picked some salt from the desert. Instead, I think I ended up having to run all the way back. I also had the bright idea that maybe it would be on a dead body in the hive. Um, Spoiler: it didn't. It was not. This was unfortunate, I guess is the best word. Went to do Moonswipe, got knocked over. Every time I shot, the hitbox kept hitting some item. And then it kept getting stuck on stuff, so it was near impossible to get like that, to get them to draw out. I think it kind of hints at their incredible low intelligence, I guess. Because, man, trying to get it to follow me upstairs. I did get some occult remains from this, so it wasn't a total wash, but it also was not good. It was not a positive outcome, let's just say. Yeah, I was trying to see if there's anything else I can think of aside from running all the way back. As you can tell, the answer was no, I could not think of anything. Got to mute for the yawn. Hopefully that did not get picked up. Now I gotta run all the way back. I thought maybe switching it to full screen would fix the too high FPS. It did not. So I turned VSync off and it started working. And this is me trying to test to see if there's any screen tearing, so I need to pay attention. That doesn't look like it is. That looks like a pretty good test. I know it's not the most common thing for screen tearing to show up on recordings, but I mean, I know they can at the same time, so it's just not as it's not as most of the time it's not as visible as the screen recording or screen tearing on your actual screen monitor. But I'm also not an expert, so I could have just completely lied on that one. I'm just glad it didn't show up in the recording. That's the main thing. I didn't show up for me either, but and I'm almost done. 15 more minutes. Only got to think of 15 more minutes worth of stuff to talk about. I kind of get the people who do those full gameplay, no commentary videos. Those are probably so much less stressful. It was entirely unnecessary to buy those regular arrows. I could have just bought the magic arrows, which are honestly also somewhat unnecessary. The time that I the time that I did this character as a playthrough, um, I had intended to use special arrows and then ended up not. Special arrows require forging, or not forging, making kits, and the forged arrows I think you can only get. Can you even make a forged arrow? Oh, forged arrow. Can those be made with kits, or can you only buy those? Yes, they can only be bought. So the forged arrows that do the extra physical damage can only be bought. And the arrowhead kits, I might try to use more this time. Um, but I honestly don't know any of the recipes off the top of my head, and I'm honestly not sure where you find them. I don't recall ever finding an arrowhead recipe. Let's see if the wiki has anything on that. Yeah, the guide doesn't have any recipes for them. You have no idea how you're supposed to figure out arrowhead recipes. There a page for recipes? Yeah, I don't know where you ever get the recipes. If anyone knows where you get the arrow recipes, let me know. Because I have never, as far as I can recall, ever gotten a scroll for an arrow. I haven't looked on what they are, so they may or may not be intuitive. Plus, they're all the way in Caldera, so the only way they'd really use them is for unknown arena bosses to hit their weaknesses, assuming they have any. So he ran into him again, and no shoes. That bow design is crazy. The little energy thing streaming out of it. That bite looked less weird at normal speed. I think I decided partway through I was going to go ahead and go to oh, I must have already gone to the Immaculate's camp. Must be while I was looking up arrowhead recipes. Could ate that jerky. No real loss to doing so. I like how he moved and I hit the guy behind him. That was great. So with a controller, you can lead your shots if you're like aiming at somebody and you use your looking analog stick. The yellow part is where your bow will actually fire the arrow at, and the red part is who you're locked onto. So if you are afraid the enemy is moving too fast, you can lead your arrow by tapping your analog stick a little bit forward and shooting your arrow that way. And this is another dark area where I can't see that well, but luckily rags and varnishes are a thing. I don't know why I felt the need to go back and get that flint and steel, but I apparently did. Completely whiffed that moon swipe. And again, sorry to anybody who does not like this. Episode 2 will be back to normal stuff. The grinding, there was no way I was going to be able to talk for 6 hours of grinding. Because grinding is not so bad when you're, you know, watching something along with it, but being forced to think of something to say for that long period of time is just, it's rough. I would say if you were a live streamer, it's also less bad because you have your chat to interact with. Uh, but just sitting by yourself talking to nothingness is for 6 hours would be rough. Or as I said, that the Yakuza soundtrack started playing. Koi no Disco Queen, I think is the name of this track. So I say it's that little doo 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 drum part starts right after I said that. It was good timing on the song's part. This is gonna be my favorite part of the episode coming up here soon. See them staring each other down. See that the Pearl Bird knocked him down and then killed him. Ah, that's great. I might have to go back to the original clip and upload that as like a short or something. Although I don't even know how to upload shorts. Sure, it can't be that hard to figure out. Although I hate short form content. Vines were okay, but I can't get behind Reels or TikToks or Shorts, YouTube Shorts even. I got both lucky and unlucky in this sense. So uh, I was able to get. Oh no. Oh, that's bad. All right, I'm gonna have to go to debug mode because I just realized I bought Wind Sigil instead of Infuse Wind. Welp. Force of habit. I normally don't get Infuse Wind, but I should have. Instead, I got Wind Sigil. I'll have to fix that in debug mode. That's unfortunate. Well, that's a good thing I watched this, because if I was not paying attention, which I clearly wasn't while I was playing, and I really don't want to have to do 6 more hours of grinding, so I'm gonna debug mode. Sorry, guys. Insert copy pasta of uh, cheating myself meme. What is that copy pasta? I cheated not only the game but myself. I didn't grow. I didn't improve. I took a shortcut and gained nothing. I will experience a hollow victory. Nothing will have been risked and nothing will have been gained. It's sad that I don't know the difference. So yeah. cue that copy pasta for the debug mode fix on grabbing the wrong skill. Whoopsies. I should actually do that as soon as I get done recording this video. Nah, I'll just do it on camera. Also, I instinctively am killing these pearl birds, and I really did not need to. I wonder if, because I saw another YouTuber when they were playing the bow, like it took longer for their crossbow to lock. I wonder if that's because they were using keyboard and mouse, and the keyboard and mouse would prevent the reticle from going back to normal because they were like it would pick up the small movements of tracking. I wonder if it's either that or maybe it's just auto aim is better on a controller. I have to test that if it really does take longer, or I'm not sure what their issue was, maybe. I would put Xenogears music over this, but I'm afraid Square is probably pretty copyright happy, so maybe I'll stick with the outward music. Not to say outward music isn't good. Almost at the end now, though. I just do a couple things here. So, starting the next episode, my plan is to head to Monsoon and do Gold Lich and Jade Lich, probably in the same episode. Hopefully, in the same episode. I plan to get the Legacy chest there, which is, I believe, my chest piece. And then get the Sar Halberd. I already have one Sar Stone from the thing. I need to get a Hackmanite. I need to remember to get a Hackmanite somewhere. And Palladium I can get also from Hollowed Marsh. I mean, worst case scenario, I have to go mine it, but yeah, I should probably bring a mining pick with me and mine all of the um, mana stones that I see, because that's probably going to be the quickest way to get a Hackmanite. Oh no, actually, I'll get a Hackmanite from, worst case scenario, I'll get a Hackmanite from Gold Lich. Never mind, I don't really care on that case. I won't have to worry that much. I can get both Hackmanite and Palladium from Gold Lich. So I will just not worry about it. Because I'm pretty sure I'm going to fight the Gold Lich first. Just make a beeline from Gold Lich to Jade Lich, and yeah, that should be fine. I'm sure there's going to be no unexpected things happening. And at first I thought 800 would be enough, but that is not enough. I'm going to need closer to 2,000 silver for the skill tree. So I'm like, wait a second. 800 or 8 is not 800 or 8,000, it's 800 silver. So I had to go back and get some more gold bars. I'm still not 100% sure I got the right amount of things, but yeah, that's basically it. This is essentially the end of the episode. I got a minute and a half left of running around, so yeah, let's let that play out, and then we'll stop our recording and merge the audio and upload it to YouTube. If I can't figure out how to get outward music in here. I do have the OST from Steam. I wonder if those are just like MP3s or something. If so, I can just do that. Yeah, I went to get a pickaxe and fishing thing to put in my chest so that I'd be a smart person and not get all the way to Caldera and not have one. At least I hope I did. Let's make sure I actually did that. That would have been my intention. Let's see if I successfully managed to do that. Considering I got the wrong skill.